Today's chairperson is Dr. Ajay Srivastava sir and Dr. Vijaya Mohan ma'am. And today's faculty is Professor MMA Faridi sir, Dr. Neeta Bhargava ma'am, and Dr. Salman sir. So, without wasting any time, I will hand over to today's chairpersons to Dr. Ajay Srivastava sir and Dr. Vijaya Mohan ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Yadav. After a very interesting first day yesterday, we come to the second day today, and we have a very renowned speaker with us, Professor MMA Faridi, who's a pediatrician of national repute and a respected teacher too. Sir will be speaking on IYCF counseling skills. So, please, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I'm thankful to Lucknow Academy to give me this opportunity. First of all, I'll also wish the greetings for the Ram Janmabhoomi Puja. This is a day for rejoice for all of us. And also during this breastfeeding week, this is a very apt topic. And in fact, if you go into the details about, you'll find that most of the time we want that, yes, there should be, but at the same time, we find it difficult to manage the whole show. So the reason for not able to help a family or the mother is that we are not very competent of really helping this family of the skills which are required for that. Please remember that, am my slides visible too or not? Are the slides visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the issue which is important to see is that the most important thing is that we are able to counsel, and there is a difference between a counsel and advice. It is audible to you, and this slide is also visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now,
It's audible.
okay. You see, the counseling is to give professional help and recommendation to mother and family on infant and young child feeding. So this is actually a professional help. What is the aim? Aim is to empower a mother to understand advantages and dynamics of breastfeeding and enabling her to practice optimal IVCF. Now, so what are the components of this whole professionalism? You look at, if the first and foremost is to listen and learn what is actually this situation. The second component is confidence building the confidence of the mother and the family to be able to choose the option of starting breastfeeding, initiating breastfeeding within an hour, and continuing exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, and then along with semi-solid food from the family food pot, they're able to continue for 2 years. Remember that breastfeeding is not for 6 months. Breastfeeding is for 2 years. And therefore, at every stage, the skill you need are different. The information provided to be will be different. For starting the breastfeeding, different story. For continuing breastfeeding, different story. Adding with the complementary feeding, different story. And all these three phases are extremely important and need very deft handling. Otherwise, what we see in our country, 50% children in very good states are stunted. The reason is not poverty alone. Poverty plays not a very important part, but it's the feeding pattern and the practices which play a more important part. And the third component of counseling is checking understanding. Checking understanding means whether the person has understood what you actually want to convey to. The person had understood correctly. I give an example that when we discharge a patient in a hospital setting, We make a discharge and hand it over to the nurse. Nurse calls the patient. Then who goes? The baby doesn't come, the child doesn't come, the mother comes, or sometimes grandfather comes, and he collects the discharge slip from the nurse. Now nurse tells us that, look here, this is a syrup which has to be, some water has to be added, and this has to be given 3 times a day, 1 spoon for 4 days. And this is the tablet which will be dissolved with the tablet to be given morning and evening. You come after 3 days, room number 304. This is the information. But that syrup, the solution, how much water to be added, where to be added, which should be pre-warmed, or it is a potable water, or it's a municipality water without even boiling can be used. All these are important. And then giving, you have to shake well. Then how will you take 1 spoon? Could be 3 ml, could be 5 ml, could be 7 ml. So a standard information to be provided. We don't provide this information. And now when this grandfather goes home with the child, he tells it to the granddaughter, okay, 3 times 3 spoon has to be given. So third person information reaches to the mother who is doing it. So checking understanding is extremely important. It's not uncommon that when you ask the patient in OPD, he hasn't improved, you advise augmentin, patient didn't improve, so you want to change the antibiotic. But if you go a little detail into it, and if you ask, can you show me the bottle? She shows you, she is a 30 ml bottle. Or if she doesn't bring, you ask, कितनी बोतल आपने पिला दी? डॉक्टर साहब अभी एक में से थोड़ी बची हुई है. We know 5 ml 8 hourly means this bottle should have finished in 2 days. And she has come on day 3, but still some drug is left. That means this mother could not give adequate amount of doses of the child. And we are going to change the antibiotic. So this is what actually important component of counseling, that you are checking the understanding that person is understood. Now, if you look at the attributes of counseling, it is not a time to actually detail all the steps. If you look at these 3 steps, listening, learning, confidence building, and checking understanding, in all together have 24 steps. Now, these 24 steps have to go on. Otherwise, a good counseling, effective counseling will not take place. It's not a time to actually discuss each and every step, but I suffice to say that the first and foremost thing to learn is understand mother's and family situation, the education status, the parity, the problems the mother faced during pregnancy, that is whether this is the second child or the first child, whether they could feed the first child or not, or the first baby died, she could not feed, and she's afraid of giving her own feed, might be thinking that this may be harmful. No, all kinds of peer pressures are there in the family. So she may not be very willing to start breastfeeding. So first of all, we have to understand what is the situation of the family, in what way they are, what is general. I have seen one family where all the babies are fed by bottle. So any new mother coming, will also start bottle feeding. So this is what important. The second is accept your mother's concerns and mistaken ideas with respect and empathy. So this is also very important, that we should not disagree. We should not, no, it doesn't happen like this. Every mother feels, you can also feel. No, that's not the answer to, if a mother says, I'm not able to breastfeed. See, so she might be thinking, my breasts are too small, I may not be able to produce enough milk. Or there could be some problem. The first few days, she tried feeding, but then there was a sore nipples, as she could not feed. So now she thinks, no, I will not be able to feed because my breast aches. Or this may happen that the first few days of postpartum, when the mother feeds, there's a strong contraction of uterus and a clot of blood may be expelled out. It's known as after pains. And then she may be very afraid of first mother. Nobody has told her that the oxytocin also contracts uterus and some amount of blood may come out. And she will be worried about what is happening. Whenever I start feeding, and this happens. She might ask from Bhabhi, oh, usko to pata nahi. So in that case, the problem will be there. So very, very important to understand that how the mother is feeling, what are her concerns, what idea she has, just accept it. And I'll tell you how you can accept the idea. Remember that neither disagree with the person nor agree with the wrong idea. Otherwise, you won't be able to counsel. So the good idea is to you accept. Acceptance means a neutral response. I give an example. A mother comes and says, Doctor, I don't have enough milk, or my baby remains hungry after feeding. No, this is not a correct information. Every mother has good amount of milk. Only thing is that how she is feeding, whether latching is okay, whether she has any doubts and ideas. So, you know, if she's worried about, if she's in pain, then oxytocin reflex will be obtunded and the milk will not flow down. If she's having suckling problems, then again the prolactin will not come and the milk will not come into. So this is a mistaken idea that not enough milk. But then if you say no, every mother produces good amount of milk, you are disagreeing with the person. If you say हाँ कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है कि दूध नहीं आता है, you are agreeing with the person. So if you can say like this, do you think so? How did you get this idea? Who gave this idea to you? You know, then you are shifting the responsibility from her to say maybe to her mother-in-law. कि मेरी mother-in-law ऐसा कहती है कि शुरू में दूध नहीं आता है. Then you can say अच्छा आपके mother-in-law ऐसा समझती है, वो ऐसा कहती है. Rather than saying कि आपके mother-in-law को तो कुछ पता नहीं है, तो पुराने ज़माने की उनको नहीं पता. No, so this is a disrespect. So then second is that by empathy. So if she says that I'm not able to feed my baby, you can say, अच्छा you are worried about feeding your baby. You are worried that you are not able to give breast milk. So this is an empathy. I can understand that you are concerned about the feeding of a child. So these are these sentences which reflects empathy and also respect and also is a neutral response to the mistaken idea. The next important attribute of counseling is giving a relevant information is very, very important. Say, for example, if the 3 days old mother, 3 days postpartum, and she is finding difficulty in feeding. Now, at that moment, saying that exclusive breastfeeding to be given for 6 months is irrelevant information. If you say the breastfeeding should start within an hour, the time has already passed. So that's irrelevant information. You know, then the relevant information would be at this stage that if a baby is put to the breast and takes a mouthful of breast into, rather saying areola or kala bag, say take mouthful of breast, then the relevant, depending upon the status, education status, you can say some hormone are secreted, you can say some chemical reaction takes place and the milk flows into. So a proper positioning is extremely important. This information to be given, that the baby to be held in a certain position so that the baby can take the breast easily. You know, you can talk about the twisted neck. So can show that if the baby is taken like this will be able to feed. So a relevant information at a particular point of time is extremely important. If the mother comes with a sore nipple or maybe cracked nipple and she's bleeding, you know, so one can say empathy. Yeah, I can understand this is very painful when there's a cracked nipple. Yes, it's a very painful situation. But yes, if a baby is, rather than saying कि आपने इसको ठीक से नहीं लगाया इसलिए ऐसा हो गया, it will undermine the confidence of the mother. We can say, if we put a baby in a different way, I can show you how the baby to be put to the breast, then I'm sure that this kind of problem will not come and you will be able to feed. So will you try? Say that. So I'll put a baby in a way because baby feeds from the black part, from the areola and not from the nipple. So if you put the baby in a way, see how you feel now. So this is one. If that is also not working, we can say, okay, we can express the milk and it can be given with the help of a katori with the cup. So these are the things, relevant information to be provided and should be provided in a positive manner. For example, अगर आप ये कह रहे हैं कि देखो अगर आप अपना बच्चे को दूध नहीं पिलाएंगे तो उसको डायरिया हो जाएगा. This is a threatening information, a negative information. अगर हम उसको ये कहें कि अगर आप अपना बच्चे को अगर दूध आप पिलाएंगे तो बच्चा तंदुरुस्त रहेगा, बीमारी से बचा रहेगा. So this is a positive information. Now again, when you give a relevant information, should be given in a manner which is generalized information, not specific. जैसे ये देखा गया है कि अगर बच्चे माँ का दूध पीते हैं तो तंदुरुस्त रहते हैं. It is a scientific, relevant, positive, general information. अगर आप ऐसे कहो कि देखिए अगर आप अपना दूध पिलाएंगी बच्चे को तो ये तंदुरुस्त रहेगा, ये स्पेसिफिक है। हो सकता है उस बच्चे को बीच में जुकाम हुआ हो, नहीं अक्सर मेरे बच्चे को तो अक्सर जल्दी जुकाम हो जाता है, मैं तो अपनी दूध पिलाती हूँ, है ना। सो rather than saying specific to you, you can give an scientific general information that those children who feed on the breast, they grow healthy and strong. So giving a relevant information is extremely important. The next is evaluate all possible options for exclusive and continued breastfeeding with working women in a family. एक बड़ा स्पेसिफिक सा है, हर चीज में ये चीज आ जाती है कि अगर मदर वर्किंग से मतलब है हर मदर इज वर्किंग। ऐसा नहीं होता है कि जो घर में रहती है वो काम नहीं करती है। वर्किंग मदर का आइडिया ये है कि वो अपने बेबी से टाइम अलग गुजारती है, मोर देन 3 आवर्स। वी से ओके शी इज अ वर्किंग मदर स्पेंडिंग मोर देन 3 आवर्स अवे। तो इस सिचुएशन में क्या होगा, जैसे जो अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर है, जब मेड आती है घर में काम करने, उनको वर्किंग मदर में कैलकुलेट नहीं करते हैं। हम जो सैलरी फिक्स लाते हैं उनको कहते हैं वर्किंग मदर। लेकिन हर वो मदर जो अपने बच्चे से 3 घंटे दूर है वो वर्किंग मदर की डिफिनेशन में आती है। अब इसमें हमें डिस्कस करना पड़ेगा कि भाई आप क्या कर सकते हो और उसका प्रिपरेशन पहले से करना होगा। तो काउंसलिंग में बैठ के बात करनी है कि भाई इसको जाके ज्वाइन करना है, अपनी करियर ओरिएंटेड है, उसको एसआर है मान लीजिए, उसको जाके ज्वाइन करना है एसआरशिप। वो एमडी कर रही है तो उसको जाके ज्वाइन करना है अपनी एमडी, और जल्दी जल्दी ज्वाइन करना चाहती है, वरना अटेंडेंस की प्रॉब्लम होगी, एग्जाम में नहीं बैठ पाएगी। तो अब हम क्या करें उसके लिए कि फीडिंग वो एक्सक्लूसिव करा सके। तो बहुत से ऑप्शन हैं, घर के पास उसके प्लेस है जहां वो काम करती है तो वहां लेके बच्चे को जाया जा सकता है, वहां फीड करा सकते हैं। वो खुद बीच में नर्सिंग ब्रेक्स मिलते हैं, घर आकर के फीड करा सकते हैं अगर ये पॉसिबल है तो उसके आने के लिए। या ये है कि वो एक्सप्रेस करके मिल्क रखिए, वो घर पे रख के जाए मिल्क, और उसका एक स्टोरेज है, उसका पूरा सिस्टम है, ये सब उसको पहले से तैयारी की जा सकती है और फीड दिया जा सकता है। 1 महीने तक रखा जा सकता है फ्रीजर के अंदर, और अगर डीप फ्रीजर की फैसिलिटी है तो हम उसको ज्यादा टाइम तक रख सकते हैं और ये फीड कराई जा सकती है उसको। तो ये पॉसिबल है और ये किया है और करते हैं ऐसा करने के लिए। बट प्रिपरेशन करना पड़ेगा राइट फ्रॉम द मोमेंट आफ्टर बर्थ, आफ्टर पोस्टमार्टम पीरियड। We discuss these issues with how you are thinking about continuing excess breastfeeding. Let us think about, has he thought about it or not? Then discussion with mother on all possible feeding options in special situations. For example, medication पे है कुछ mothers, तो वहाँ क्या करना है, HIV पॉजिटिव है, वहाँ क्या करना है हमें, कोविड की सिचुएशन है, इसमें हमको क्या करना है, कैसे फीड करानी है। अगर मदर कोविड पॉजिटिव भी है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। हमारे पास में भी एक बेबी एडमिट हुआ 15 डेज का, मदर एंड बेबी बोथ वर कोविड पॉजिटिव, एंड unfortunately the obstetrician who did cesarean private में हुआ था, she also turned out to be positive। तो पता नहीं किसको किससे लगा इन्फेक्शन, but the baby was with us, is a 33 weeker 1.6 kg, और वो एक नैन के ऊपर था वो जब हमारे पास आया था। तो खैर हम लोगों ने उसको एक्सेस ब्रेस्टफीडिंग पे घर भेजा, बेबी was okay, mother had some issues and we discussed all these issues with her and both of them went home healthy and hearty। तो डिस्कशन करना पड़ेगा कि किस तरह से वो, आप आइडियाज के पीछे यही होगा कि अल्टीमेटली पर्सन थिंक्स अडॉप्टिंग द ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग इश्यूज, बिकॉज यू हैव टू डिस्कस ऑल ऑप्शंस कि भाई आपके पास में फैसिलिटी है, एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी। देखिए एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी इज अ वेरी बिग इशू। आपने मदर ने कहा अच्छा भाई ठीक है इसको आप अपना दूध मत पिलाओ, आपको ये प्रॉब्लम है। अब मान लो घर में जेठानी तो पिला रही है दूध, या पड़ोस के अंदर है और लोग पिला रहे हैं, दादी जी हैं बता रहे हैं आजकल की तो बहुएं पिलाती नहीं है अपना दूध, हमारे जमाने में तो 6 बच्चे हुए सबको दूध पिलाते थे। तो अब फैमिली से प्रेशर डाल रही है, नोबडी लाइक्स टू डिस्कस दिस इशू के साथ, मुझे HIV है कौन किसको बताने जाएगा। और आज का पता चल जाएगा लोगों को कि भैया ये अपना दूध नहीं पिला रही है, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि इसको लगता है HIV होगा। एंड दिस इज it's a very personal confidential information we should not be shared with everybody। तो ये सारी चीजें डिस्कस करके और उसको खुद ये सोचना पड़ेगा कि अगर मैं फॉर्मूला फीडिंग के ऊपर जा रही हूँ तो क्या क्या एट्रीब्यूट्स उसके लिए है, कि क्या अफोर्ड हो पाएगा, क्या फिजिबिलिटी है, रात में आपको उठ के दूध बनाना है, बॉटल में बना के नहीं रख सकते, 2 घंटे में खराब हो जाता है दूध। मदर का दूध को 6 घंटे आप रूम टेम्परेचर पर रख सकते हैं। फ्रेशली प्रिपेयर करना है तो क्या वो मदर फ्रेश प्रिपेयर कर पाएगी? वो वहां पर ऑप्शन नहीं है कि उसके घर में गैस नहीं है, गैस सबके पास नहीं है इंडिया में, तो अब क्या करेगी वो, उसको हर बार चूल्हा जलाना है। दिस इज पॉसिबल फॉर हर, इसका भी कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व होगी। इन्वॉल्व होगी कि डब्बे की फीड की भी इन्वॉल्व मनी आता है, इसके अलावा बोतल की है, फिर गर्म करना है, फिर उसके बाद हैंड वॉशिंग के लिए आपको साबुन यूज करना है, तो ये सारे खर्चे आते हैं, प्लस टाइम। स्टडी देखी गई है कि 1 फीड तैयार करने में अगर आप इसको गैस पे तैयार करते हैं, टेक्स 15 मिनट्स। 1 फीड अगर 15 मिनट्स में तैयार हो रही है, तो आप इमेजिन कर सकते हैं कि 8 फीड उसको देनी है तो 120 मिनट हो गए, तो इस मदर के 2 घंटे से फीड तैयार करने में जाएंगे। एंड द सेफ्टी इश्यूज, सफाई हर बार नहीं हो सकती, एक हफ्ते में अगर आप गिनेंगे तो 56 टाइम्स 48 टाइम्स इसको बनाना है फीड 6 दिन में, उसमें एक आध बार गड़बड़ हो सकती है, इस बच्चे को इन्फेक्शन होगा, डायरिया होगा, तो ये सारे इश्यूज के साथ में डिस्कस करने होंगे। एंड देन द लास्ट इज assuring mother and family for continued support for all aspect of infant feeding। तो कोई infant feeding भी डिजीज की तरह ट्रीट होगा, अगर उसको मदर को कोई प्रॉब्लम हो रही है तो हम कहेंगे हमेशा हम अवेलेबल है, यू कैन ऑलवेज कम टू अस। नाउ वेयर टू डू द काउंसलिंग, ये ओपीडी में नहीं हो सकती डॉक्टर साहब, आप पेशेंट बैठे हुए हैं सारे, वहां इतना टाइम आप टच नहीं कर सकते, जो भी 10 मिनट 5 मिनट उसको देने हैं वो नहीं सबके सामने डिस्कस हो सकते, बहुत से इश्यूज होंगे। सम फैमिलीज हस्बैंड को नहीं पसंद है कि साहब आप ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग कंटिन्यू करिए, बंद कर दीजिए, अब ये बात तो सबको नहीं बताएगी। इधर क्या करती है, आफ्टर 20 इयर्स से मेल बेबी बोर्न इन द फैमिली, दादी जी हर समय बच्चे को अपने पास रखना चाहती है, क्या होगा उससे, जब स्किन टू स्किन टच नहीं हो रहा, मदर के साथ में वो नहीं है बच्चा, तो उसका कम हो जाएगा ऑक्सीटोसिन रिफ्लेक्स, और वो कि अच्छा अब तू काम कर ले, आराम कर ले, मैं इसको एक बार दूध पिला देती हूँ बोतल से, एक बोतल दे देते हैं, बाकी तुम अपना पिलाना। तो द मोमेंट बॉटल फीड स्टार्ट इट विल कॉज निपल कंफ्यूजन और ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग बंद हो जाएगी, है ना। और अगर मान लीजिए कि वो फीडिंग कब से कराना चाहती है, उससे कराना चाहती है मान लीजिए, तो उसमें क्या होगा कि मदर का प्रोलैक्टिन लेवल पर कम होगा, तो उसका मिल्क कम हो जाएगा आगे चल के। तो उस सिचुएशन में क्या होगा कि मदर जो है वो उससे दूर कर दिया गया। अब आप कैसे मना करेंगे दादी को, भाई बच्चे को मत रखो अपने पास, उसके तो इतने दिन के बाद में पोता हुआ है, तो अब यहाँ इशू आ जाता है कि हम किस तरह से उनसे बात करेंगे। सो देयर आर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एम्बियंस that you have got a proper place जहां कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी है, प्राइवेसी है, वहां उससे बात कर सकते हैं आप, उसके रिलेटिव को पास में रखिए, उससे बात करेंगे। सेल्फ प्रेजेंटेशन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ऐसा नहीं आप बहुत जल्दी में है कि आपने घड़ी देख ली आते तो समझ जाएगी कि डॉक्टर साहब को तो जल्दी है, तो सेल्फ प्रेजेंटेशन आप कैसे कर रहे हैं, यू आर मेंटेनिंग ए सोशल डिस्टेंस, यू आर शोइंग रिस्पेक्ट टू हर, आई टू आई कॉन्टेक्ट कर रहे हैं ना, ऑल दीज आर इंपॉर्टेंट। सो दीज आर ऑल नोन एज देन योर लैंग्वेज, यू नो योर पैरा लैंग्वेज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। देखिए आपने देखा है कि जब फिल्म फेयर अवार्ड होता है तो उसमें आप बुलाते हैं रेखा, कभी अनाउंस करेंगे बेस्ट एक्ट्रेस अवार्ड, अब वो क्या करती है, उसने निकाला पर्चा, उसको तो पता है कि इसको मिलना है, लेकिन वो कैसे करेगी अनाउंस, नाउ द बेस्ट एक्ट्रेस अवार्ड गोज टू नन अदर देन, यू नो, तो लोगों को वो हुआ कौतूहल हुआ कि कौन होने वाला है, करीना कपूर। अगर वो ये खाली कहते हैं कि द बेस्ट एक्ट्रेस अवार्ड गोज टू करीना कपूर, तो वो इंप्रेशन नहीं पड़ेगा, है ना। सो पैरा लैंग्वेज, दैट मींस योर पिच, द डिलीवरी, ऑल दीज आर इंपॉर्टेंट। So everything except the words plays a very, very important role. You can touch the mother, and that also gives you good clue. But remember that in our country, you have to be careful about social norms. A male doctor touching the mother may not be liked. So depending upon how you can touch the baby, you can praise the baby. Oh, बहुत खूबसूरत है, बड़े अच्छे कपड़े हैं इसके, no? So you praising always liked by the mother. तो ये करके then you can be close to the mother. I put you 2 questions to you. We are very often asked question like this, आप अपना दूध पिलाती हैं? हमारा ये क्वेश्चन से होता है। अगर इसी को हम ये कहें, हाउ डू यू फीड योर बेबी, इन दोनों में आपको लगता है कोई अंतर? डू यू ब्रेस्ट फीड योर बेबी? आंसर क्या होगा? नो, आंसर क्या होगा? वो ये कहेगी यस और नो, यही आंसर होगा। बट इफ यू से हाउ डू यू फीड योर बेबी, इन दैट केस, यू नो, if you say how do you feed your baby, then वो कहेगी डॉक्टर साहब मैं अपनी दूध पिलाती हूँ, लेकिन कभी कभी शाम में बहुत रोता रहता है तो मैं इसको एक बोतल फीड दे देती हूँ, या मैं अपनी दूध पिलाती हूँ, गर्मी बहुत है तो थोड़ा पानी पिला देती हूँ। So when you ask an open question, more information comes. If you ask a closed question, which a closed question means answer is yes or no. An open question is where the person has to say something, you know, and that start with how, where, how. Then another thing which we are very often say, I give you an example. Manju, please close the door. कैसा लगेगा ये, मंजू को कैसे लगेगा ये? साहब आप उसको ऑर्डर दे रहे हैं, मंजू प्लीज क्लोज द डोर। अगर मैं ये कहूं, मंजू विल यू प्लीज क्लोज द डोर, देखिए उतने समय लगेगा बोलने में, वॉइस मैंने वर्ड्स इस्तेमाल किए, लेकिन मैंने सेंटेंस को चेंज किया। मैंने कहा मंजू विल यू प्लीज क्लोज द डोर, ये कैसा लगेगा? उसको अच्छा लगेगा ना, कि मैं उसको एक ऑप्शन दे रहा हूं, मैं उसको एक एम्पावर कर रहा हूं, वो ना भी कह सकती है कि नहीं मैं बंद नहीं करूंगी, क्योंकि पहले वाले में बंद करने का ऑप्शन नहीं है, एक ऑर्डर है उसको बंद ही करना है। यहां पर मैंने उसको ऑप्शन दिया, आप ऐसा करना चाहोगी? तो यही फीडिंग के अंदर भी होगा कि देखो माँ का दूध, हमने इंफॉर्मेशन दी, जो बच्चे 6 महीने के बाद भी माँ का दूध पीते हैं वो बच्चे तंदुरुस्त रहते हैं और वो हष्ट-पुष्ट रहते हैं। और फिर हम उनसे कहें तो आप सोचते हैं कि आप पिला पाएंगे बच्चे को 6 महीने के बाद? आपने सोचा है क्या इट इज पॉसिबल फॉर यू टू फीड द बेबी आफ्टर 6 मंथ्स? वो डॉक्टर साहब मैंने तो ज्वाइन करना है ड्यूटीज, तो मैं कैसे करूंगी? नो, एंड देन द थिंग्स विल गो, रादर देन कि देखिए 6 महीने बाद भी आपको अपना दूध पिलाना है, ये तो ऑर्डर हो गया, वो तो नहीं चलेगा, वो सुन के चली जाएगी। बट द मोमेंट यू से दैट कि आप पिला पाएंगे इसको बाद में, तो हम इसको एक ऑप्शन दे रहे हैं, उसको पूछ रहे हैं, इसको एम्पावर कर रहे हैं। अब वो कहेगी ऐसा कि हाँ डॉक्टर साहब हमें तो ड्यूटी ज्वाइन करनी है, तो हम कैसे पिला पाएंगे? चलो, एंड देन यू गो फर्दर एंड यू डिस्कस आउट। So please remember that suggestions are more acceptable than commands, and healthcare workers are tuned to give orders. हम लोग तो यही करते हैं ना कि भाई ये दवा 3 बार खानी है, ये 2 बार आपको नेबुलाइजेशन लेना है, और फिर मंडे को आपको ये टेस्ट करा के आना है। तो हमने सारे ऑर्डर दिए उसको, है ना। हम उसको कहें कि भाई आपको ये दवा इतना करना है, ये आपको नेबुलाइजेशन करने हैं, और देखिए 3 महीने बाद मैं देखना चाहूंगा, तो आप आ पाएंगे परसों, आप आ पाएंगे? तब बात आएगी डॉक्टर साहब उस दिन तो हमें जाना है, हमारा एक फंक्शन है, उस दिन तो नहीं आ पाएंगे। नो, देन यू फर्दर डू इट। सो दिस इज एक्सट्रीमली गुड वे ऑफ the words which you speak. It helps you with your family also, with your children also. It's not only with the mother whom you are counseling. Now the next point comes when you should actually counsel. That's very important. So I would say that the should be included in the curriculum of nutrition. You'll be surprised to know that once you read the nutrition values of different foods, कोई भी किताब उठा लीजिए, वो चाहे पीडियाट्रिक्स की हो, चाहे न्यूरोलॉजी की हो, या कम्युनिटी मेडिसिन की हो, या फॉर दैट मैटर न्यूट्रिशन एमएससी न्यूट्रिशन की हो, कहीं पर भी ब्रेस्ट मिल्क को इंक्लूड नहीं किया गया है किसी फूड आइटम के साथ में। बफेलो का होगा, काऊ का होगा, सबका होगा, उसमें गाजर की वैल्यू होगी, कहीं पर भी आपको उसमें मदर्स मिल्क का नहीं मिलेगा। सो उसमें होना चाहिए कि इंक्लूडेड की ये पार्ट है हमारे न्यूट्रिशन का। नेक्स्ट इज एंटीनेटल पीरियड। तो एंटीनेटल पीरियड में जो कम से कम जो फर्स्ट एंटीनेटल में आए हैं उसको छोड़ के सेकंड और थर्ड में एक बार इसके ऊपर डिस्कशन जरूर हो थोड़ी देर के लिए, खास तौर से थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर में, कि आपने क्या सोचा है बच्चे के लिए, कैसे आप इसकी फीडिंग के बारे में सोचते हैं। ब्रेस्ट एग्जामिनेशन भी उसमें हो जाए, कुछ थोड़ा सा आइडिया, कुछ एडवांटेजेस ब्रेस्ट मिल्क के उसके बारे में उनको बता दिए जाए, सो दैट शी इज मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड कि कब इसको स्टार्ट करना होगा। हम सिजेरियन के बाद भी इसको स्टार्ट इसके बाद ही करेंगे, नो। So this becomes an extremely important point. And then another point comes at birth. हर मदर को बर्थ के ऊपर जरूरत पड़ेगी। देखिए चाइल्ड बर्थ बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट पीरियड होता है एक किसी वुमन की लाइफ में। 6 से 8 घंटे परेशान रहती है, हल्का दर्द, ज्यादा दर्द, पानी नहीं पी पा रहे, सो नहीं पा रहे, खा नहीं पा रहे, अनकंफर्टेबल सिचुएशन है। और फिर वो एक्चुअल सेकेंड स्टेज ऑफ लेबर जिसमें एक्सट्रीम डिग्री का पेन होता है। इतना पेन किसी चीज में नहीं है, यानी हार्ट एक है, एमआई है, रीनल कोलिक है, सबसे ज्यादा पेन लेबर में होता है, बर्थ में होता है। इसके बाद जब वो रिकवर करी बर्थ के बाद में, एपिसोड में भी लगी, दुनिया भर की चीजें हुई, सिजेरियन से हो रहा है तो एक उसको एपिड्यूरल इंजेक्शन लगा, बड़े डिस्कम्फर्ट में है। शी नीड्स एम्पैथी, इज़ इट? उसके साथ ये हो कि भाई अब हो गए तो बात करें कि देखिए अब आप बेबी देखा आपने अपना क्या है, उससे पूछ लिया, सेक्स पूछ लिया उसका कि बेबी गर्ल है या बॉय है, कैसी है, अब आप कैसा फील कर रही है, आपने बेबी टच किया अपना, है ना। सो यू आर इम्प्रूविंग एंड इंक्रीजिंग कॉन्फिडेंस। देखिए आपने इतने डिफिकल्ट पीरियड से आपका बेबी बिल्कुल ठीक है, और तो बच्चा जो है अब चाहता है कि उसको दूध दिया जाए, क्योंकि बच्चे शुरू के 15-20 मिनट बहुत एक्टिव होते हैं दूध पीने में। देखो जब बच्चा पेट में था ना तो कंटिन्यूसली फीडिंग चल रही थी इसको ये कॉर्ड जो था इसका, ये इसकी तरह से एक तरह से ड्रिप थी इसको कि पूरा खाना मिल रहा था। अब ये बाहर आ गया है तो इसको तो खाना है, इसका खाना तो आप ही इसको देंगे। तो क्या ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग शुरू कराएंगे आप अभी? आप फील कर रहे हैं कि आप कंफर्टेबल हैं, हम आपको सपोर्ट करें कराने में. दिस इज हाउ यू prepare a woman at birth. Every mother needs help and support at that time. And then at discharge, the second, third day, the maximum problems she tries to overcome by 2-3 days. और इसमें discharge के समय पे उनको काउंसिल होना चाहिए. फिर 6, 10, 14 वीक पे इम्यूनाइजेशन पे आ रहे हैं. एक वर्ड फीडिंग के बारे में जरूर बात की जाए. अगर डिफिकल्टीज मिलेंगी आपको, ब्रेस्ट की दिक्कतें होंगी उनके पास में, चूंकि उस भीड़ में वो दिखाएंगे तो नहीं ना, वो बोलेंगी आपसे, तो बात की जाए उनसे, और वहाँ एक कमरा बैठने की जगह हो जहां वो समझ सके इस बात को. एंड देन अदर अपॉर्चुनिटीज. इस बीच में अगर वो किसी वजह से दिखाने आ रहे हैं या किसी भी और कारण से अगर वो हॉस्पिटल आते हैं, तो उसके बाद भी उनको पहुंचे देना पड़ेगा. तो आई विल समराइज दिस दैट देयर आर अनमेट नीड्स ऑफ ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग एंड कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री फीडिंग काउंसलिंग. सब डॉक्टर चाहते हैं, प्राइवेट में भी चाहते हैं कि इसकी ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग हो जाए, लेकिन कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा कि हम कैसे करें. तो वहां कोई काउंसलर हो जो कि उनको, या वो खुद काउंसलिंग की ट्रेनिंग ले कि जिसके अंदर से वो इसको कर सके. देन मिस्ड अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग. आए अस्पताल में, हमने सारा को ट्रीटमेंट किया, फीडिंग के बारे में कोई बात नहीं करी. तो ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है जो हम लोग मिस कर जाते हैं. देन स्पेशल सिचुएशंस है. सिजेरियन की तैयारी में एक बोतल जरूर आएगी, डब्बा आएगा. इस हैबिट को खत्म करना है. बेबी ठीक है तो क्यों उससे जाना है NICU के अंदर, कंपल्सरीली जाना है. आई वोंट टॉक मच अबाउट इट, बट दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंस एट लीस्ट आई हैव सीन इन दिल्ली, कि वहां तो एक ये पैकेज के अंदर है कि बच्चा जरूर जाएगा वहां, और कुछ घंटों के बाद में आपको मदर को दिया जाएगा. तो ये सिचुएशन को आई थिंक वी शुड स्टॉप इट, एंड ये नहीं हो रहा है. देन पीयर प्रेशर, कमर्शियल इन्फ्लुएंसेस और चाइल्ड न्यूट्रिशन अगेन प्ले इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. This is what our experience. We have published this data also, that you can start breastfeeding within an hour, even in cesarean deliveries. Only thing is your nurse is trained and she knows that how to put the baby to the breast. Even anybody with the mother can also be taught, and she can also feed. Who should counsel? Obstetrician, pediatrician, nurses, nutrition counselor, healthcare workers, mother support group. ये सभी एक important issue. ये community के बारे में हो गया कि जो घर की हमारी जो बड़ी बूढ़ी होती है, अगर उनको हम थोड़ा सा इसमें आइडिया दे दें तो बहुत ज्यादा हेल्पफुल होती है. देखने में आया है. ग्रैंड मदर को भी अगर हम साथ रख लें काउंसलिंग में, उनको मदद कर दें, तो ये बहुत बड़ा फायदा बाद में देता है हमारे लिए. Who should counsel for breastfeeding? तो इसके अंदर भी आप समझ लीजिए कि उसके पास नॉलेज हो आर्ट एंड साइंस ऑफ फीडिंग. चाइल्ड फीडिंग ये कोई बहुत रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है, सिंपल इंफॉर्मेशन है इसमें. उसको एक स्किल बेस्ड ट्रेनिंग मिली हुई हो, सेंसिटिव और अवेलेबल हो, फ्री फ्रॉम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इंटरेस्ट. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है. और मैं चाहूंगा कि हमारे सारे पीडियाट्रिशियन कलीग्स हैं, उनको IMS एक्ट के उल्लंघन के बारे में ध्यान रखना है कि हर वो कंपनी जो इन्फेंट मिल्क सब्स्टिट्यूट बनाती है, या बॉटल बनाती है, निपल बनाती है, उसके साथ हमें कोई अपना रिश्ता नहीं रखना है किसी तरीके की चीज का. नमस्ते होगी, उनसे बातचीत करेंगे, सलाम करेंगे, लेकिन उनके साथ में हम किसी तरह का भी कोई स्पॉन्सरशिप नहीं रखेंगे. नेक्स्ट हो गया प्रैक्टिशनर. देखिए ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, और ये बिल्कुल हम लोगों के लिए है कि हमारे अपने खुद डॉक्टर और हमारी अपनी नर्सें ही फीड नहीं करा पाई बच्चे को, तो वो क्या मदर को हेल्प कर पाएंगे. उन्होंने तो खुद ही बॉटल शुरू कर दी 15 दिन के बाद से. तो प्रैक्टिशनर होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. until unless you yourself have practiced it and felt it how it feels breastfeeding, what difficulties come, it will be extremely difficult. तो जितने भी हमारे यहाँ मेल फ्रेंड्स बैठे हैं, वो देखें कि एज ए फादर वो कितना सपोर्ट कर पाए अपने घर में फीड कराने के लिए. और जो हमारी बहनें बैठी है पीडियाट्रिशियंस, वो देखें कि उन्होंने खुद कितना ब्रेस्ट फीड कराया. अगर प्रैक्टिशनर खुद नहीं है तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट होगा उनको ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग के लिए किसी दूसरे को कन्विंस करना. So I stop at this point, that there should be no sermon, but if you are interested, counsel. Remember that counsel is not one way. कि हमने एक आके लेक्चर दे दिया कि अभी ये फायदे ऐसा करो, ऐसे नहीं होगा. You have to take all those steps, be empathic, be friendly with the family, and then you will find that you will be able to help the woman. And in my experience, I have not found any occasion where I was not able to counsel the women, especially the educated women, career-oriented women. It has been extremely pleasure to work with them, and most of the time they were ready to and they were able to. In fact, I used to call them as a mother support group. उनसे हम कहते थे देखिए हम आपको अगर बुलाएंगे भी तो आप आ सकते हैं. तो ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग वीक में मैं अक्सर उन लोगों को बुलाता था और वो अपना मॉडर्न अटायर के अंदर आके वो बताते थे मुझे ये दिक्कत आई और मैंने ऐसे फीड कराया, मैंने ऐसे किया. So this is a very useful way of convincing other women for breastfeeding. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And it was really wonderful, like always, by you. Nice lecture. For next, am I audible, Dr. Anurag?
Yes.
Yeah. So for next lecture, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Neeta Bhargava, who she is, all of you know, she is HOD in Department of Pediatrics in Vivekanand Institute of Medical Sciences. And I request Dr. Neeta Bhargava to please see the time limit. It's about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So we have to keep a watch over this.
Sure.
Okay. So please start. Unmute yourself and start.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
No. No.
Sorry.
Your screen is not visible. Please share your screen.
Just a minute.
There is something in the bottom present now. I think that should be
Present now. I have clicked on that, and then your entire screen.
If you are not ready, we can move on to next lecture.
Just a minute. Click on share. Is this visible?
Yes. Now it's there.
No, it's okay. Yeah,
Am I audible?
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
please.
visible now. Please go ahead. It's visible now.
So thank you, sir, and good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Lab NNF team for giving me the opportunity to present in this forum. And my topic is breastfeeding in a special situation. This is a very wide topic. I will try to cover it within 15 to 20 minutes. So as we know that breast milk is Amrit for the baby, and colostrum is the first vaccine. And the normal protocol is mother should give absolute breastfeeding till 6 months of life, and after that complementary feeding is started, and this both will continue, and she can continue breastfeeding till 2 years or beyond. But in some situation, when mother is acutely ill, or if there is any chronic medical illness in the mother, or in some special circumstances, she has additional pressure, and this may interfere with the normal breastfeeding. But in those situations also, mother can breastfeed, but need additional support and specific help. So we have to weigh the risk to the baby, developing and succumbing to infection for lack of breast milk versus acquiring the mother's infection. So this dilemma is always there. So we'll discuss all scenarios one by one. First is cesarean section. When baby is born by cesarean section, and mother will find difficulty in starting breastfeeding because of effect of surgery, effect of anesthesia, inability to sit or move without experiencing pain due to surgical wound. So in this situation also, she can start breastfeeding. And the protocol is when the baby is born, immediately baby was placed on the mother's chest. Skin to skin contact should be initiated in about 5 minutes of birth. Breast crawl for early initiation of breastfeeding is very important. And when the mother is shifted to the room, then bedding in the mother and baby pair. This is very important just to start lactation and to continue lactation. And breastfeeding should be started as soon as possible, preferably within an hour. So there are different positions for a mother with cesarean section to feed her baby. Like supine position and side-lying position is always better. and in initial 4-5 days. After that, she can adopt any position whichever is comfortable to the mother. So next scenario is if multiple pregnancies are there, if twin babies are there or triplets are there, it is possible to breastfeed twins and even triplets. Many are breastfed until they are weaned. Multiple babies are more likely born prematurely, so there is even more benefits of breastfeeding. Breast milk is always better for premature babies as their gut is immature and it's easier for them to tolerate and digest. So there are different positions when multiple twin babies are there, like double football hold position, then crisscross hold position, and she's feeding in both babies in same direction. Then in relaxed position, this is tangled position, and this is side feeding position. So she can adopt any position and simultaneously feed both babies. So next scenario is hepatitis B infection in the mother. We commonly face this problem, and here also hepatitis B virus is excreted in the milk. So there is high risk of transmission to the baby when mother is hepatitis B positive or carrier, but breast milk is not contraindicated. We should give breast hepatitis B specific immunoglobulin and hepatitis B vaccination within 12 hours of birth of the baby simultaneously, and this will protect the baby immediately, protected by immunoglobulin, and later on hepatitis B vaccine will cover. So breastfeeding is not contraindicated in hepatitis B infection also. Next is hepatitis C infection in the mother. There is no documented evidence that breastfeeding spreads HCV. There is temporary cessation of breastfeeding is required if there is cracked bleeding through nipple or areola. And in that time, mother can maintain lactation by expressing and discarding breast milk till healing occurs. So as such, there is no contraindication with hepatitis C infection in mother also. Then next is tuberculosis. This is a very common problem, and India being tuberculosis is endemic in India. So we get very patients with tubercular positive mothers also. And here also breastfeeding is not contraindicated. Mother can exclusively breastfeed the baby up to 6 months, and mother should take ATT regularly, and she should full duration she should take, and she will be non-infective within 2 months of ATT, provided she is not MDR. And preventive chemotherapy for baby should be given in the form of isoniazid 5 mg per kg per day for 6 months. And mother can use face mask until 2 months after starting ATT. And PCG vaccination should be given at birth and after stopping isoniazid or at 6 months of age. So here also in tuberculosis we give breastfeeding to the baby. Remember, it is not only the mother. Anyone with TB can infect the baby. Leprosy. Continue breastfeeding in leprosy also, no contraindication. And if mother is taking Dapsone, which is a main drug for leprosy, this is passed on through breast milk in sufficient quantities to provide protection to the baby. So, and this is not harmful. So she can continue lactation in leprosy also. Now, this is very important. HIV positive mother and breastfeeding. What should HIV infected mothers in a developing country do, breastfeeding their babies or not? This is a big dilemma. There is always a risk of passing on the virus through breast milk or risk of feeding babies with infant formula. So there is a big dilemma about these two. If we see the transmission in HIV from in less than 15 years children, 10% only occurs through sexual contact or drug abuse or blood products, but 90% occurs through mother to child transmission. 5 to 10 out of this 90%, 5 to 10% they acquire through in intrauterine life, 10 to 20% during intrapartum, and 10 to 20% only by breastfeeding. So breastfeeding contributes transmission of infection only 10 to 20%. So it is very important to counsel mother antenatally regarding advantages of breastfeeding in HIV infected mother, and she should be briefed about the feeding options, either exclusively breastfeeding or exclusively replacement therapy. because exclusively breastfeeding is superior to exclusive replacement feeding in developing countries because it maximizes the chances of survival of infant. So either exclusively breastfeeding or exclusively replacement feeding. There should not be any mixed feeding. If infants given exclusive breastfeeding and those never breastfed had 19.4% risk of HIV infection, and infants who had mixed feeding had a higher risk of infection, 24.7%. So mixed feeding is not advisable. And if she opts for exclusive replacement feeding, then she should fulfill AFAS criteria. What is that? It is acceptable, feasible, affordable, sustainable, and safe. If she is fulfilling these criteria, then only she can opt for exclusive replacement therapy. Otherwise, option is only exclusive breastfeeding. So counseling is very important in HIV positive mothers. Now this is the chart. It looks a bit complicated, but I'll make it simpler. This is different scenario with HIV positive mothers. If mother is infected and baby's infant is uninfected or status is not known, she can continue breastfeeding for 6 months exclusively. Complementary feeding is started at 6 months, and mother should take ART, that is antiretroviral therapy, and infant should be given nevirapine prophylaxis for 6 weeks, and she can continue breastfeeding for 12 months. This is the normal protocol when infant's status is not known. If suppose mother gets HIV infection during labor or postpartum period, and if mother opts for exclusive breastfeeding, then again she can continue, because in this scenario there is high viral load. So in this scenario also she can continue breastfeeding for exclusively for 6 months, and along with complementary feeding after 6 months onwards, ART should be given, and nevirapine prophylaxis for 12 weeks should be given to the infant, and she can continue breastfeeding for 12 months, and after that she can stop, but that this stop should be gradual over 1 month. She should not stop abruptly. And if she is opted for not exclusively replacement therapy, then there is no need of breastfeeding. If infant is diagnosed HIV positive after birth, and here mother and baby both are HIV positive, in this scenario also she can exclusively breastfeed for 6 months, complementary feeding 6 months onwards, ART yes, nevirapine prophylaxis for 12 weeks, and she can continue breastfeeding for 2 years or more, like in normal children. And if she has option for exclusive replacement, then there is no need of breastfeeding. This is a special scenario when mother is HIV positive. She was on ART, but because of some reason it is interrupted, and because of unavailability or any reason, in this scenario also she can continue breastfeeding for 6 months, start complementary feeding after 6 months onwards, and we should counsel mother and we restart ART and nevirapine prophylaxis to the baby for 6 weeks, and she can continue breastfeeding for 1 year. So in HIV mothers also breastfeeding is one of the main option, but no mixed feeding. This is the main message. There is special cases when heat treated expressed milk should be given in low birth weight babies and in sick newborn, who are unable to breastfeed, and mother is unwell or not able to breastfeed, or mother is having a mastitis with cracked nipple, and if ART is not available. In these scenario also, heat treated expressed milk is the main option, and second option is human donor milk, pasteurized human donor milk from milk bank, or third option is wet nursing, but here we should take consent from both the sides, because baby can be HIV positive and wet nurse also, so we should keep in mind. Now about vaccination. So this is entirely different. Normally we avoid vaccination during pregnancy and lactation period, but inactivated vaccines are safe, but all vaccines can be safely given to the mother, but live viral vaccines, the virus actually keep on multiplying in the maternal body. So we should be careful with live viral vaccines. Rubella vaccine may be excreted in the milk, but does not infect baby. And if there is infection, then it will be of very mild type. But in yellow fever or 17T Dakar vaccine, this yellow fever virus is excreted in the milk. So it can cause infantile meningoencephalitis to the baby. So it is contraindicated in lactation period. But if it is mandatory, then we can give vaccination. And in that case, we should interrupt breastfeeding post-vaccination for 10 days post-viremic period. So for 10 days, mother will continue lactation by expressing and discarding the milk. Next is chronic illness. If mother has diabetes, hypertension, renal problems, or heart disease, in that case, it is she can feed the baby as in normal condition, and breastfeeding is always beneficial to the baby. Now, if we give some important medications to the mother, then most of the medications pass through breast milk in small quantities and do not affect the baby. But there are some ways to minimize the effect of medication in breast milk. So we should prescribe safer alternative with shorter half-life drugs, and we should avoid breastfeeding at times of Tmax. That means when peak medication level is there in the blood, or completely breastfeed and then take medication, or take the medication before the baby longest sleep period. So if suppose the drugs are contraindicated during short period of time, then she can express milk to maintain milk production in the mother. There are some few conditions in which breastfeeding is contraindicated, like in galactosemia, there is absolute contraindication of breastfeeding in the child. And in other inborn error of metabolism also, like phenylketonuria or primary lactose intolerance, breastfeeding is contraindicated. And if some medication is there, is receiving mother, like anti-cancer drugs, propylthiouracil, radioactive iodine, lithium, gold, amphetamine, amiodarone, and ergot derivatives, then also breast milk should not be given. There are some drugs. If we can use alternative drugs if possible with sulfonamides, chloramphenicol, tetracycline, estrogen, and thiazides, we should be careful while giving this. But other drugs like simple antibiotics, analgesics, antihistaminics, antacids, digoxin, iodine, these anti-tubercular drug, anti-epileptic drug, these are safer drugs and we can continue breastfeeding. Next scenario is postpartum depression. She can continue breastfeeding, and if mother requires drugs, then we should prescribe drug at lowest possible dose and it should be titrated slowly. But we should take extra precaution when the baby is preterm, low birth weight, or sick. SSRIs, that means selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors like acetylcholine, fluoxetine, fluoxamine, paroxetine, and sertraline, they are compatible with the breastfeeding, but doxepin should be avoided. And if we are choosing benzodiazepine, then benzodiazepine with shorter half-life is preferred. So now we come to birth defects. Extra support required to establish and maintain milk production when a baby is born with some birth defects. Breastfeeding helps to strengthen jaw and facial muscles in babies with low muscle tone. In cleft lip and palate, there is difficulty to maintain suction. So in that scenario, mother can feed the baby in dancer hand position. This is a good position for cleft lip and palate. And if small cleft is there, she can make seal with finger also. And if baby is able to suck, she can directly breastfeed the baby. But if cleft is more and if proper seal is not there, then she can give express breast milk with katori spoon. Now herpes simplex infection. When active herpes lesions on the breast or nipple is there, it is infectious for 5 days. And if lesions are present on the breast, then there is temporary discontinuation of breastfeeding from the affected breast is required. Express milk out to maintain milk production, and she can resume breastfeeding once the lesion heals. And if lesions are not present on the breast, she can continue breastfeeding and with proper hand hygiene before holding and feeding the baby. In influenza, breastfeeding is not contraindicated. Rather, antibodies and immunological factors present in the breast milk are always protective to the baby. But in Ebola viral infection, Ebola virus is excreted in the milk. So when active disease is there, then breastfeeding is contraindicated. Now we come to smoker mother. If mother is smoking, it is better to exclusively breastfeed the baby than to top feed her, because even if the mother smokes, Mother breast milk does pass nicotine to baby, but more harm happens due to passive smoking and the smoke dust, which invisibly clings to your body, clothes, hairs, and your bedding. Anybody smoking in the house would lead to smoke dust to harm the baby. So with smoking also, we should take extra precaution, but she can continue lactation. And if mother is taking alcohol, alcohol passes freely into mother's milk and peaks about 30 to 60 minutes after consumption, 60 to 90 minutes if it is taken with food. So avoid breastfeeding until alcohol has completely clears breast milk, generally 2 to 3 hours, depending upon the weight. Infantile hepatic system is immature till 2 to 3 months of age. Even small amount of alcohol can be detrimental. So we should avoid alcohol in lactation period. So babies with special needs. If babies are sick on NICU with ventilators or CPAP, or if baby is preterm, low birth weight, the option is breastfeeding, breastfeeding, and breastfeeding. Breast milk is always safe and it is a complete nutrition to the baby. And according to the prematurity of the baby or sickness of the baby and weight of the baby, we can choose either direct breastfeeding or express breast milk through intragastric tube or through Katori spoon. And if baby is not getting any milk due to some reason, then mother should be advised to express milk 3 hourly during day and once at night to maintain lactation. So in different diseases like Lyme disease, malaria, West Nile fever, toxoplasmosis, MRSA, the staphylococcal infection, shingles or herpes zoster, when lesions are not on the breast, and in breast surgeries, mother can easily do lactation. There is no contraindication, and according with that, she should take specific treatment also. And in brucellosis, active varicella, and shingles with active lesions, there is temporary cessation of breastfeeding is recommended because it is secreted through milk and it is contagious like varicella. This is my last slide. And if in employed mothers or in working mothers, it is a very common problem. Mother stops breastfeeding because she has to join the work, and so lactation is stopped. So she should advise about extended maternity leaves up to 6 months, and she can express breast milk at home, and she can keep the breast milk at room temperature for 4 hours and in refrigerator for 24 hours with closed lid container. And during that time, the EBM with Katori spoon can be given to the baby. This is one option. She can carry the baby to workplace. There are option of Hirkani's room at room places, at workplaces also. Hirkani rooms are a specially allocated room at the workplace where working mothers can express milk and store in a refrigerator during their work schedule. So this is another option. So counseling is very important here. So these are my references. And thank you so much for patient listening. And thanks to my VPIMS team for helping me.
Thank you, Dr. Neeta, madam, for covering such an elaborate topic, and it was really wonderful to hear you. And a special thanks to complete it in within just 15 minutes. Yes. So and now I request our next speaker, Dr. Manish Dwivedi. Dr. Manish Dwivedi from SGPGIMS. He will give a lecture on human milk oligosaccharides. Dr. Manish, you may start, please.
Yes.
There are so many questions, Dr. Neeta, ma'am. You have to stay till the end, and I think people would like to hear more from you. So till then, please relax and see the questions in chat box. There are many questions in chat box as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is my screen visible? Hello.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Please carry on.
Good afternoon, everyone. So for the next few minutes, I will be talking about human milk oligosaccharides, and my specific learning objectives will be the introduction of oligosaccharides, its structure and its diversity, the metabolism of human milk oligosaccharides, the benefits of human milk oligosaccharides, and in the end, few take-home messages. What are human milk oligosaccharides? So to have a basic idea, I would like to take you back to 1900 when the discovery of lactobacilli and bifidobacterium and their relevance for health and disease were an important milestone. But later, researchers observed that the fecal composition of breastfed and bottle-fed infants differed, and these observations indicated that this difference is particularly linked to the milk carbohydrate fraction. And this was the starting point of research on human milk carbohydrates, and now we have about 200 single human milk oligosaccharides characterized. HMOs are unique bioactive oligosaccharides. They are naturally present in human breast milk, and they are actually elongations of milk sugar lactose with combination of glucose, galactose, and acetylglucosamine, glucose, and an acetyluramic acid, which is the predominant form of sialic acid. HMOs are unique to human milk. Talking about comparison between cow's milk and human milk, so there is almost nil oligosaccharides in cow's milk, while in human milk, the amount of oligosaccharides is around 5 to 15 grams per liter in mature human milk. Human milk is made up of water and macro and micronutrients and HMOs. So talking about solid components, the lactose is around 70 grams per liter, and while lipids is around 40 grams per liter. Then HMOs and proteins. Further subdividing HMOs into three types. They are fucosylated, dealylated, and non-fucosylated. They are neutral. So among fucosylated, two-linked fucosyl lactose is the most predominant HMO in human milk, accounting for more than 30% of total HMOs. While 6-sialyl lactose is the most predominant sialyl lactase in human milk in the beginning of lactation. Then the neutral lactose, that is L-lactose and dextrose, is one of the 10 most abundant HMOs in human milk. Talking about the metabolism of HMOs, only around 1 to 2% of HMOs are absorbed in gut and reach the systemic circulation, as infants lack the necessary enzyme to digest HMOs. So they are resistant to low pH and intestinal enzymes. Thus, they reach unchanged in the colon, and there they help to some extent by modifying gut bacteria acting as prebiotics. Out of 1 to 2%, which is absorbed into the systemic circulation, is enough to support their systemic activity, that is anti-infective and anti-inflammatory properties. What are the potential benefits of HMOs? The first benefit we are going to talk about is as a prebiotic. So human milk oligosaccharides serve as food to specifically promote the growth of certain beneficial bacteria. Furthermore, the certain species of bifidobacterium and several other commensal gut bacteria ferment HMOs into short-chain fatty acid and other metabolites like lactate and acetate, which make an environment very conducive to the growth of beneficial bacteria over potential pathogens. Research has also shown that infants have a high abundance of beneficial bacteria, such as bifidobacterium, in infants who are totally breastfed. Not only they have prebiotic actions, they also have anti-adhesive, antimicrobial property. So how do they do that? They act as decoy, avoiding adhesions of pathogens to the gut barrier, as their structure is very similar to mucosal subsurface. HMOs also directly affect the intestinal epithelial cells and modulate their glycan expression and other cell responses. Thus, they act as intestinal epithelial cell modulators. And apart from that, they also modulate lymphocyte cytokine production, which helps in balanced T helper 1 and T helper 2 response. As we can see that a cell without the effect of HMO, there is imbalanced T helper 2 and T helper 1 response, while in presence of HMOs, there is a very balanced TH1 and TH2 responses. In absence of HMO, there is decreased leukocyte rolling and on activated endothelial cells, but HMOs modulate the leukocyte rolling and adhesion, and this leads to reduction of mucosal leukocyte infiltration and activation. So as we have seen till now, that immune system of the infants is functionally immature and naive, and HMOs give newborn multiple layer of protection. They protect against pathogenic infections. They promote the development of intestine. They help in establishing the gut microbiota. They stimulate the maturation of immune system through their actions on the gut. HMOs positively influence the infant's mucosal as well as systemic.
Slide is not seen.
So now, is it visible now, sir? Hello?
It is visible, Dr. Manish, you continue.
Okay, sir.
It is visible. It is visible.
So after having talked about the role of immunity, relationship between immunity and HMOs, HMOs also act as brain development nutrients. Particularly, they provide sialic acid as potentially essential nutrition for brain development and cognition. Thus, we have seen the beneficial effects of HMOs. To summarize, the potential benefits of HMOs, they act as prebiotics. They have anti-adhesive and antimicrobial properties. They are intestinal epithelial cell modulators. They also act as immune modulators, and they modulate the leukocyte rolling and adhesion, thus helping in development of immunity of the baby. And they also provide brain development nutrients like sialic acid. So my take-home messages from this presentation is, first, we have to support breastfeeding for a healthier planet, as this is the theme of World Breastfeeding Week this year. And then breastfeeding provides every child with the best possible start in life. As ma'am has rightly said, that breast milk is amrit for the infant, and colostrum is like the first vaccine. So HMOs are the third most abundant solid component in breast milk. HMOs range between 20 to 25 gram per liter in colostrum and 5 to 15 gram per liter in mature human breast milk. So we have to never miss colostrum, as it is rightly said to be the first vaccine. And then the properties of HMOs, they act as prebiotic, they act as antimicrobials, they act as anti-inflammatory, and they also provide brain development nutrients. So I would like to conclude my presentation by thanking all the mothers who are breastfeeding their babies, by thanking all the neonates who are helping me learn neonatology, for your patient listening to my presentation, and then Lucknow Academy of Pediatrics and mentors at ICPGI who has provided me with this opportunity to speak in front of esteemed faculty and doctors. Thank you.
Very well presented, Dr. Manish. And it's now time to move on to our next topic, which is presented by Dr. Harkirat Kaur from SDPGI MS. And the topic will be breastfeeding and gut microbiota. And we are just 10 minutes before our time. So I would like to, I request Dr. Harkirat to finish the topic in 10 minutes, please. Dr. Harkirat, please, you can. Is she present? Dr. Anurag? Dr. Harkirat is there?
Yes, she has joined.
She has joined. So, Dr. Harkirat, are you there? Dr. Harkirat, are you there? Yes. She has just joined now.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon,
Yeah.
sir.
Welcome, Dr. Harkirat. Please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Share your screen, please.
So actually,
Yeah, it's okay.
are you able to see my presentation?
It has not started yet.
No.
Okay, so I'll share
You
again.
need to minimize. No, you need to minimize.
Hello.
You have to minimize this screen and then share.
So this one, the meet one.
First, you start presenting.
ये तो ये वो है ना, हाँ इसमें होगा।
Hello.
Dr. Harkirat,
Yes,
Dr.
sir, there is
Anurag,
an
please help us.
So there is an option of present
Dr.
now.
Harkirat, you are listening?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
you start sharing your screen. Yeah,
So there is an option of
confirm that
present
present now.
present now, and your entire screen.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
but
entire screen.
the
You
meet screen is coming
start.
actually.
Huh?
It is the meet screen only which is coming.
Okay, I will guide you later. First, you start sharing. Okay, now you minimize the meet screen. Now you minimize this screen.
On the
Like
top,
you
you can
minimize
see
the window.
minimize screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Harkirat, click on the window of that breastfeed PowerPoint
Is
presentation.
it visible now? Is it
Yeah,
visible?
You have already opened
Yes,
it,
yeah.
so that will pop open on the front.
Yeah, this
Good
is visible.
afternoon. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity. For the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about breastfeeding and infant gut microbiome. The learning objectives for my talk will be an introduction to the neonatal microbiome, composition of maternal microbiota and colonization routes of the fetus, breast milk microbiome, its origin and functions, and I will be referring to the various bioactive compounds in breast milk. I will also elaborate upon the strategies to prevent dysbiosis in the neonatal microenvironment, and then I will be referring to certain conclusions. Now, what is neonatal microbiome? Neonatal microbiome consists of the ecological community of common cells, symbiotic and pathogenic microorganisms that reside in the neonate. They are well tolerated because they coexist and co-evolve with the immune system. The largest proportions of these are found in the gut, skin, and the oral cavity. There is a difference in the microbiome composition with respect to the gestation. Term infants have more of Clostridia and Bifidobacterium, whereas the preterm infants have abundance of gram-negatives like E. coli, gram-positives like staph, and facultative anaerobes with the exception of bacteroids and Bifidobacterium. The neonatal gut microbiota cannot be cultured by traditional culture-based techniques, so we use innovative non-culture-based techniques like gene profiling and shotgun metagenomics to demonstrate them in the bean. Maternal microbiota consists of a huge, numerous, and a wider population of organisms in the oral cavity, placenta, the GI tract, and the vagina of the mother. Shifts in the maternal microbiome have been implicated in metabolic adaptations to pregnancy. The microbiota gut component is modified by pregestational BMI and weight gain over pregnancy. The microbiota composition is also influenced by maternal diet. Mode of delivery and breastfeeding practices also determine the neonatal microbiome. Diet shapes the infant gut microbial community. It has actually been seen that nutrition has a major impact on the early microbiota composition and function, and cessation of breastfeeding is required for the evolution of the adult microbiota phenotype, and we have enough literature evidence to back this. This maternal portrayal shows the localization of the maternal microbiome and vertical routes of transmission to the fetus. These include the oral cavity, intestine, endometrium, meconium, amniotic fluid, vagina. However, ascending transmission and hematogenous transmission are still under debate. All in all, term delivery results in eubiosis, and dysbiosis is a consequence of preterm gestation and low birth delivery. The various factors which regulate the infant gut microbiome include maternal gut microbiome and vaginal microbiota, colonization status of the maternal skin, maternal high-risk condition lifestyle factors, exposure to tobacco, alcohol, early toxin environmental exposures, mode of birth of the offspring, the gestational age of the baby, and mode of feeding. This slide shows the window of opportunity for microbiota modulation. Starting with the prenatal factors, the placenta is a rich conglomerate of aerobe and anaerobes. It is a rich complement of non-pathogenic commensals like firmicutes, proteobacteria, bacteroids, and fusobacterium. Neonatal factors include the mode of delivery and gestational age. Neonatal microbiome is largely determined by the maternal offspring. Birth represents the infant's first major microbial inoculation. There is intense colonization starting soon after birth, which continues to increase in diversity throughout life. The adult phenotype is established by the age of 3 years. Then the postnatal factors which modulate the microbiome composition are feeding, ethnic and geographic background of the mother, host interactions, maternal diet, and weaning. Caesarean sections result in establishment of dysbiotic state in terms of microbiota. They produce a relative abundance of Clostridium and Firmicutes and restrict the growth and proliferation of bacteroids and bifidobacteria. Breast milk. Is it really sterile? Studies have shown that breast tissue is not sterile. Bacteria begin to colonize the milk ducts at 3rd trimester. They have also been demonstrated in the skin, in the lobule, and in the lactiferous ducts, but studies to date have shown their absence from the fatty tissue. The composition of breast milk microbiota consists of 9 major microbiological phyla. These include Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Corynebacterium, Propionibacterium, Serratia, Pseudomonas, and relatively rarer species like Ralstonia, Sphingomonas, and Bradyrhizobiaceae. Factors affecting breast milk composition include the maternal health, the state of her colonization of the skin and the breast tissue and the gut, consumption of medicine and antibiotics in particular, maternal diet itself, her ethnic background, delivery mode, gestational age of the offspring, and the lactation stage. Now, origin and source of breast milk microbes. Because many of the microbiological phyla present in the breast milk are similar to that present in the maternal skin, it is believed that a set of the complement is actually derived from the breast milk. Also, sorry for the interruption. Also, because a set of the microbes is similar to the flora of the infant's oral cavity, so that is also presumed to be one of the contributing sources. Studies have, however, shown that majority of the organism comprising of the breast milk are actually derived by translocation of the maternal gut bacteria. Certain signals generated at the time of labor also affect bacterial transfer, and that is why there is a different set of microbiota resulting out of vaginal delivery versus cesarean section. So the overall origin and source is, however, controversial. Maternal milk components shape the microbiota. Enterobacteriaceae, as we know, are one of the first colonizers of the intestine of the gut of the neonate, and their production is controlled by secretory IgA from milk. Lactoferrin peptide in the breast milk inhibits Enterobacteriaceae by sequestering iron and preventing epithelial adhesion. The HMOs, as beautifully elucidated by Dr. Manish, increase the relative abundance of bifidobacteria in milk, and HMOs, these bifidobacteria convert HMO to short-chain fatty acids. We will see their biological role a little later. Breast milk has abundance of bioactive compounds like HMOs, which interact with milk microbes, certain growth factors, cytokines, which are antimicrobial, certain proteins and peptides like lactoferrin, calprotectin, and defensin, which have immense beneficial biological properties, and fatty acids, which directly or indirectly are toxic to the pathogens growing in the microenvironment. The short-chain fatty acids in particular are products of bacterial fermentation. They are not only an energy source for the enterocytes, they also modulate gene expression, mainly by regulating the T regulatory cell number, which result in immune tolerance. At the same time, they generate an anti-inflammatory state in the body. Also, these short-chain fatty acids activate the pattern recognition receptors on the surface of microbes and play a crucial role in immune defense mechanisms. Now coming to the functions of these microbiota, starting with the metabolic and nutritional function, the most important of which is generation of short chain fatty acids, as we have already discussed. The second is production of minerals and vitamins and conversion of compounds to their active form, which includes bile acids. Second is the structural function to the epithelium, that is epithelial proliferation and regeneration in the intestine, exclusion of toxic pathogens from the body, and regulation of the adaptive and the innate immune system. Probiotics, we have discussed them, we have explored them, we have elucidated them. They have role in the gut and beyond. Their microbiological action is to modulate the microbiotic composition and exclude bacteria from the body by generation of antibacterial peptides like bacteriocins. They tighten the junctions of the epithelial cell. They produce short chain fatty acids. At the immunity level, they modulate in innate immunity and favor an overall Th1 helper cell response. Now we will be discussing about the various strategies which we can use to prevent dysbiosis in a new neonate. Starting with the antenatal measures is optimum maternal nutrition in terms of the energy giving sources, the relative ratio of PUFA to DHA, and the nutraceuticals, which help to establish T cell and antibody responses. Antenatal steroids, which help in an early maturation of the GI tract, gut, and brain. Appropriate control of maternal diseases and infectious illnesses. Maternal immunization. Maternal use of oral probiotics during pregnancy. We know that probiotics actually modulate the TLR receptor genes, which play an important role in immune regulation. And so much so that already some leading pharmaceuticals and formula brands have started investing in them and adding them to infant formulas. And avoidance of unnecessary cesarean section, because these lead to dysbiosis and that state lasts for a lifetime. The natal and postnatal measures include prevention of prematurity, early establishment of breastfeeding and sustaining it, oral immunotherapy with colostrum, the beneficial role of probiotics and lactoferrin we have already discussed, supplementation of feeds with nutraceuticals, antibiotic stewardship, and enforcing developmentally supportive care, KMC, and family-centered care to remove unnecessary pain and other stressors. Future research in this field involves the use of postbiotics, which is our products of microbial fermentation. Examples of these are short chain fatty acids, and secondly, probiotics can also refer to small molecules derived from lysed microorganisms. They confer the same benefits on the host as probiotics without additional risks associated with live organism. To conclude, I would like to assert, re-stress, and reiterate that breastfeeding shapes the gut early microbiota, and we have enough literature evidence to prove this. The direct mechanisms of the beneficial effect include exposure of neonate to the milk microbiota. Indirect mechanisms include the production and sustenance of maternal milk factors that affect bacterial growth and metabolism, such as HMOs, secretory IgA, and antimicrobial factors. And there are numerous strategies to prevent dysbiosis, which include antenatal, natal, and postnatal interventions. Only a state of eubiosis in the maternal system can ensure eubiosis of the neonate microbiome. And in order to achieve this optimum functionality, we need to target and regulate the factors controlling the breast milk microbiota composition. After all, the only way to predict the future is to reinvent it. Thank you everyone for your patient hearing, the Lucknow Academy of Pediatrics in particular, and my mentor Dr. Girish Gupta in specific. Have a good day everyone. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Harkirat. Let me confess first that there are so many new observations for me in your talk, and may I request all the faculty members of this symposium to please share their PPT with all the participants for future references. Otherwise, it is going to be nearly impossible to remember each and everything. You all have been very wonderful to hear with, and now at last I request Dr. Salman, our KMC man. In fact, he has done more KMC workshops than any of us, and he has been very instrumental in government organizations, government hospitals for training of paramedical staff about KMC. So, Dr. Salman, you please do a talk and demonstrate how to do KMC in all the setups.
Just a small word here that since you all are doing neonatology, there's an organization, Lucknow Neonatology Foundation, which is also co-sponsoring this event. So I think you all are not aware of that. So I just thought that I'd let you know about that. This is a very own Lucknow Neonatology Foundation, which is purely for neonatology.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Salman, you can continue.
सलमान सुनना है हम तुम्हें.
Okay. So now we can start the KMC demonstration. So this is my KMC unit. You have seen?
Yes, visible.
This is KMC unit 1 and second is this KMC unit 2nd. Now we start from the from my SNCU. How we can start the KMC when baby is coming? Our SNCU. This is our SNCU. Okay.
तुम्हारे में full.
This is our nursing station, and these are 2 units. One is from inborn unit, and second is outborn unit. So we have 2 such type of the babies which are needs. This is first baby, which is on oxygen and on the IV fluid. So we start from this side. So sister, शुरू करो जरा. चलो आ जाओ बेटा. This is our new KMC chair. चलो लेट. आगे से खुलवा दो. इसको बता दो कि थोड़ा सा ढक के रखें. This is another baby. इसको भी तुम शुरू करो सिस्टर. This baby is still on the oxygen. Now we start the KMC in SNCU. Baby is on nasal prong. Only kept the cap, which is made by our sister, nappy, and we also need the socks. And there is a gown which provided by us. IV fluid भी चल रहा है बच्चे को. Simple measure. Second baby. Now I will see the baby which are in our KMC unit. So these are in SNCU. Initially we provide a KMC in for some hour and then we shift the baby to our KMC unit. So I am going to KMC unit. तुम भी आ जाओ. तुम आ जाओ. So these are our KMC ward. This is IEC. For IEC, the TV is going on, and these are the charts which are displaying here for KMC. Part 1, requirement for good KMC. Safe positioning. How we can give the KMC from father. And these are the first baby for which we have motivation for starting the KMC. So you can see, इसको निकालो, इसको demonstrate करो, हाँ इसको निकालो, ये उसी पे निकाल दो, demonstrate कर देंगे. We also demonstrating the KMC how we can give a father. So this is our guard. He can demonstrate the KMC. My father. हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल शर्ट खोलो, बताना है ना. हाँ अगर ठीक, टी शर्ट ऊपर कर लो, ये अपनी शर्ट ऊपर कर लो, शर्ट ऊपर करो, ये अपनी बनियान ऊपर करो, और ऊपर और ऊपर, हाँ बस सर पे कोई कपड़ा रख दे. This demonstration tells the how we can give the KMC from father side. So we have two rooms. This room for females and second was this one for male. KMC unit second. This one for male partners. And we also demonstrate the how we can give the ambulatory KMC. तो उसके लिए वो सिस्टम को रखना है, जो वो है उसको लपेटने के लिए बांधने का. हाँ लेके आओ जरा किसी सिस्टर को. This is another mother. ये वाला ये दूसरा दोनों तरफ से बांध के KMC जैसे करते हैं. लिया बेटा निकाल लो. ऐसी लगा लिया, ऐसी लगा लिया, ऐसी था मेरा. बताओ कैसे करोगी. नीचे से पहले बांधो. तुम्हें आता नहीं, मैं बांधूंगी. जो तुम ये दिखाओ, मैं बताता हूँ. कोई बात नहीं, तुम दिखाओ. दिखा ना? This is how we can give the KMC in ambulatory position. If mother wants to work any work in the home, then we can give the KMC by ambulatory method. You can use simply the sari or dupatta or any else. Thank you.
Very good, Salman. Very good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Excellent, Salman. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent, Salman.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Do you want to add something, Dr. Salman, in this demonstration? You would like to say something?
No, only we can see the एक tray दिखाओ.
would you like to add a few words about problems or
we can
management?
this is the tray for demonstrating how we can give the katori spoon feeding. This is the paladai. This is the katori chammach, and by nasogastric tube. If nipple are not well formed, then we provide the syringe. This is on tray for breastfeeding management only.
Only one thing I would like to ask Dr. Salman, what do you advise in this Corona times, COVID times, how much it is feasible for, what are the difficulties which you are facing in KMC?
बॉस इसमें जो हमें जो परेशानी आ रही है आजकल वो ये होगा कि स्टे नहीं हो पा रहा इतने दिन तक, क्योंकि नॉर्मली हम स्टे करवाते हैं कि जब तक बच्चा 2 किलो का ना हो जाए या जब तक उसका वेट ना हो जाए, तो एक तो ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, दूसरा अटेंडेंट खुद रुकना नहीं चाह रहे हैं। बाकी तो वही प्रिकॉशन लेना जैसे ये है, फेस मास्क लगा लिया है, बाकी सब प्रिकॉशन वही लेनी है, तो उसमें ऐसी प्रॉब्लम नहीं आ रही है। लेकिन बस ये कि वो जो स्टे हो रहा है वो टाइम कम हो गया है।
आप रेगुलरली सारी मदर्स का कोविड टेस्टिंग करा रहे हो?
बॉस जिनको हमें लगता है सस्पेक्टेड है या जिनको सिम्टम्स आ रहे हैं उनका जो है वही एंटीबॉडी टेस्ट हो रहा है और उसके बाद कंफर्म पीसीआर से कर रहे हैं।
Okay. So very nice. Thank you, Dr. Salman. Now I would like to start the question answer session. Before that, and Dr. Vijaya Mohan madam. Dr. Vijaya Mohan madam.
Yes.
Yeah, you please start your questions from the faculties.
So first we will take questions for Dr. Faridi sir's talk, or in general we can have a mixed question also. You can specify the speaker whom you'd like to ask the questions.
If the chairperson allows me, I'd like to make few comments on HIV infant feeding.
So can we take the other questions first, and then in the end,
Sure.
maybe we can.
Sure.
Anurag sir.
Sir,
Anurag,
Dr.
please
Girish Gupta
take up
sir,
the
would you like to make comments on the talk rendered by your residents, your senior residents? Would like to, as they don't.
I think the basic purpose of the talk of the senior residents was to sensitize people about HMO, because it's very, very useful. And if the human milk is not available, then there will be products coming in the market which will have HMO. So they are not available in India as of yet, but they will be available. So the aim of the first talk was just to be aware that HMR are hugely useful. And therefore, the one point which is a singular point is use of colostrum. Colostrum must not be missed. It has many more times HMO, and colostrum must be given without fail. Commonly, it happens that when the baby is in an ICU, we miss the initial few milk. Colostrum is missed, couple of days milk feeding is missed, which must not be missed. If we want to take care of the newborn, it could be even ELBW, we must give colostrum. So that's the first point about the HMO. The second thing which we wanted to talk about was basically microbiota. In fact, something which I like to make sense, we like to sensitize is that we only talk about bacterial microbiota. There's a time when we have to think about viral microbiota, virome. And people who are in the field of medicine, medical colleges, they should think of virome and should work on it. The point here I wanted to drive home was that microbiota of the breast milk is exceedingly crucial, and hence antibiotic given to the mother must be prevented as far as possible when she's on breastfeeding, because if the breast milk composition changes microbially, then the newborn's gut gets changed. Also, we should know that the intestinal microbiota of the mother also affects the breast milk microbiota. There is an entero-mammary pathway in the human being, in the mother. So her gut microbe should also be good. And if she takes maybe probiotics, if she starts taking curd every day, it would do hugely good to the mother as well as to the breast milk microbiota. I think these are the 2 points I would like to drive home. I think the residents did a, okay job. Possibly, if there are any questions, we'll be ready to answer. Thank you very much.
So are you all giving probiotics from outside? Are you In the NICU.
We are giving. We will respond. Maybe Hercules, you can take on this question.
Yeah, is she there? I think she's not there.
She should be there, man. Hello. She has gone. All right.
No, sir, I am there.
I think she's here.
Please respond. Please respond. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Pardon me, ma'am. Could you repeat the question?
I wanted to know: are you all supplementing with outside probiotics to the neonates?
Yes, ma'am, we are giving probiotics as an NICU policy. We are giving probiotics to babies who are less than 34 weeks of gestation. We are giving Darolac, and we are giving in a dose of 1.25 billion spores. And if the baby is on less than 2 ml feed when we start with, so we give half a sachet and we give it twice a day. And if baby is on more than 2 ml feed, then we give on OD basis. And we give it for a duration of about 6 weeks or discharge, whichever is later. We prepare the composition freshly and we store them under aseptic precautions. In addition, for babies who are on long-term antibiotics also, we supplement them probiotics.
Any particular reason why you use Darolac?
Why
It is.
at all?
Hello?
Why at all?
Yeah.
Why are you using it?
We are giving in preterm babies because
We understand.
sir, actually it is easily available and it is also cheap. And because it also has the benefit, because the recommendation for probiotic is that it should either have lactobacillus, bifidobacteria, and out of these two, preferably bifido if it is a single strain, and if together, then it is even more better. And because this has about 4 strains and it includes the lactobacillus and bifidobacteria, so that's why we are giving Darolac.
What is the purpose? Why are you using them?
There is one question to Dr. Faridi, sir.
एक second, Dr. Ajay Srivastava.
बताएं sir.
Dr. Girish Gupta probably wants to emphasize that it is being given to prevent the severity of NEC. Thank you, sir.
So, but I would like to add something. Bifidobacterium brevis, M16 probably is the strain which is very well studied. And there are so many reports that it is helpful in preventing NEC as well as septicemia in premature babies. So, any comment by any expert on this?
I think some similar work is being done somewhere in Gangaram Hospital by Dr. Pankaj Garg. I have seen his report, but there is no conclusive effort report has come.
Maybe I'll just make one remark. Madam, thank you for reminding that Lucknow NNF is also that which is participating. So my request would be a very humble request that please have one-day session just for prebiotics, probiotics. We'll come up with all the, because if we can start discussing, because there'll be some counter argument, and in 5 minutes
Yes.
it will be very difficult to change their
Yes,
attitude.
yes.
So have a session. We will take care of it. Thank you, madam.
Okay, okay. Then.
Thank you.
There were many questions for Dr. Neeta, but unfortunately, my chat has got deleted. So, if anybody has the chats, Utkarsh?
Sir, ma'am, I had a question for Faridi, sir. I wanted to ask that how to counsel in twins and also how to counsel when the mother gets pregnant very soon after delivery of a baby. So there is always a problem that the baby, the gynaes say that they should not breastfeed now. So what to do in these conditions?
See, what I discussed was the process of counseling. I did not discuss about in a particular situation what information to be added. So this will pertain to a special situation again, as what the madam discussed about triplet and multiple births. So how to counsel? See, again, it will depend upon the information, that what information you're going to provide to that relevant situation. What I discussed in my presentation was the process of counseling, how the counseling should go, and it will go for all situations, whether this is not enough milk, whether this is cleft palate, whether this is multiple births, whether this is early pregnancy. In all situations,